Hey, this is Mark Diamond from the Dwarves, the Fresh Prince of Darkness. You're listening to the Tim O and Harley Show. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Tim O and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Tim O and Harley Show. I am Tim O. Over there is my partner in mind crime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben, hush, hush, sweet Harley.
Yeah. No,
Mr. Ben Harley and the Deep Thinkers. Hello, Deep Thinkers,
Yes,
all you, and thank you for joining us, Deep Thinkers, across the land, across the globe. Thank you for joining us this week here. And Mr. Ben Harley, real quick here, just wanted to send some well wishes because now you have a pro wrestling and hockey family, but your dad, who I think is in his 80s, is still taking bumps.
Yeah, you know,
what the hell? Tell him to stop it.
Yeah, you know.
Does he think he is Ric Flair?
Well, we're going to start getting him to fall on his back a little bit more, not so much on his front. Yes. Yeah. Old King Jerry, the King Lawler, my father there. Yeah, he
took a spill,
fell again.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And just broke his new bionic shoulder or whatever, or dislocated it. We'll find out in the space-time continuum.
Right.
There's a surgery on the horizon for him.
Fun.
So,
And it's really an easy time right now. There's nothing else going on the planet whatsoever that would hamper any kind of surgery or make that a more difficult process. There's nothing, is there?
No, Timo, you remember like when you thought you were a cool kid, but you were standing in line and they would let the cooler kids into the club, and then they just look at you and go, That's what they did to me at the hospital. They said, No, you stay out here. Yeah, so, yes, there's not other things going on in the world like viruses and things. So, yeah, they wouldn't let me in. So I basically, and I felt bad, you know, like, because my dad kind of forgot about it. And I went around the front of the hospital and I just said to him, I just don't want the poor old guy to think I left him, you know, like, this is it.
Right.
He's gone. He left me now. I'm stuck, you know. But, no. You know,
Dad, you've seen Soylent Green, right?
Yeah. At least I didn't take him out to a farm and said, this is, you know, and leave him there or something like that, right? You know, so. But, it's been strange. I've had to, had to pick up people drop people off at the hospital recently.
Right.
And it's been kind of strange.
Yeah, you kind of, your instinct is going with them and help them, and you just can't do that. Well, our good friend, Mr. John Dugan from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Stacy, his wife, sent us a note, and he had I think he's okay. He's okay right now. I mean, which is good. Yeah. We're very glad about that. But he had a scare. He had a bit of a heart attack. I'm not sure if a bit of a heart attack is the correct way to convey that, but he had a heart attack. Yeah, well, and Stacy couldn't even go in with him. And this was right in the beginning of this. Like he had to be by himself, and I'm sure he had like plastic draped all over him and everything. So it's like, gee whiz, you know. And I don't know. It's hard to tell, Mr. Ben Harley. You know, it's kind of a spooky time, and I guess maybe erring on the side of caution makes the most sense. Yeah, but it still makes things weird, you know.
Yeah, it's very spooky when you drop someone off. When I had to take Wendy to the hospital, and
she's okay for everybody out there. So had a stomach issue, but she's better. Yeah,
and that poor, she spent a couple days in the hospital. But poor thing, I felt bad. Like, here's Sydney Ari dropping her off, and here comes a lady out of the emergency room, looked like basically almost in a hazmat suit, you know.
Right.
Like, okay, honey, good luck. You know? Man, you know, it's just I can't say enough. Like, oh my God, good luck. You know,
are you going to the hospital or did you join the Orkin Army? Which one is it?
Man, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's like those suits from E.T. You know, in E.T. that happened. You know, like, oh my God, what's going on? They surround my car and they're fumigating it. But no, it's strange out there. All kidding aside, it's really strange time. Right
now. Well, hopefully we'll get through it. I'm just kind of at this point, I'm popping popcorn, just kind of sitting back, going, "Boy, I just Don't know.
I said you've been social distancing for a long time.
I am fine. I am concerned about a lot of other people, like yourself, and other people who are small business owners. I mean, I'm a musician.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm a musician. Most of my friends are small business owners, bar owners, restaurant owners, engineers, audio engineers. You know, I was just thinking of Ultraman's drummer, who is by trade an audio engineer, records bands and commercials and stuff like that. His wife is a fitness instructor, which is congratulations to him.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You know, but at the same time, it's like, but I mean, how is she? I guess you can do online, classes and stuff, but it makes things harder. I mean, I like the curbside and all that, but it's like there's just a piece of it missing.
There's a lot missing. It feels weird. And then now it's kind of becoming like this weird. I don't want people to be like, social distancing becomes kind of a cool thing or like this thing.
The new normal forever. I don't
like that.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't want it to be like that. I don't, It's because I'm becoming older and more angry and curmudgeon-y doesn't mean the rest of the world has to be.
Right. So. Well, some of it I really like a lot. I mean,
some of it I do.
As far as spacing people out in restaurants and on planes and things, I love that. I have a pretty impressive personal space you need to stay out of.
Yes.
And I'm thinking
25 yards.
How many times have you seen literal 22 bullets pouring out of my spores at conventions? And I just want to punch people dressed like furry bees and stuff in front of me when I'm trying to get back to the table. I really do have an issue with crowds. I don't like crowds of people. Yeah. And I don't think that we were designed to live on top of each other like ants. No. I feel you. And I feel with all those things kind of in our society today, how this could fall into very easily people just not getting together anymore.
And I don't want that.
I don't know though.
But I don't think. I don't think it's going to end up. I think once this and it's slowly starting to. And I must say, I've been blessed here lately. I've had a lot of jobs have come through. Good. So there's stuff for me to do.
How's your sports teams? Is there any sports teams trying to? I know the Chance's Little League team is going to try to play this year. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, though.
Yeah, I really haven't heard a whole heck of a lot about it, which is strange. I thought,
Well, they were going to try to do a short. They were going to try to do a shorter season, and actually, ironically, one of the reasons they gave was they already paid for the jerseys. They already paid for the uniforms. So
I bet
if you haven't had them paid for yet, I don't know. Hopefully they'll come through though.
Yeah.
Well. Listen, everybody, deep thinkers out there and deep social distancers too, like myself. Hoping everybody's staying okay and safe out there. So we'll get through this eventually. We'll get through it. I mean, if society's changed a little bit, we're not going to be here for a hell of a long time to brood about it to begin with, Edward. So we'll leave it to you kids and stuff, to deal with it. But we'll get through it. We'll get through it. It'll be okay. Now, while we've been social distancing, which has been like my dream come true. Be careful what you wish for, right?
Right, there you go.
Be careful what you wish for. Yes. I think, we, I have been watching a few things, so let's go through that before we get to our official film for this week. Let's see. I know you actually got printing to do, which is good, so we need to get through this.
Yeah.
I like hearing that. I want to get rushed because you got something good to do, so that's good. Make some money. Let's do that. That's
right.
Let's see here, Mr. Ben Harley. From 1966.
Okay.
I watch this movie probably once every, at this point I'm thinking once every 9 hours maybe, but watch the movie Island of Terror with Peter Cushing and Edward Judd in it. That's the movie where the little crawling monsters with the attachment heads or the tentacle heads turn people into rubber mush things.
Yeah.
On the island. I'm sure you remember. I love this movie. It is just a classic, just silly British monster movie. And I like movies that take place on islands. I think that's kind of a neat little spot, like Shockwaves or something like that. So I know we reviewed it quite a while ago, but man, just a fun little movie. Little movie. Let's see here. From 1997.
Ooh.
Watch the movie The Relic.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
If you remember that one.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. God, that is a movie I want to like so much. I really want to like this movie, and I never have liked it. Yeah, I like the cast. I like the budget. James Whitmore is in it from them. Here's one thing. It is shot, if you remember correctly, and maybe you don't, and you probably don't remember enough of what I'm about to tell you now. It is shot with maybe a flashlight on. I mean, they are in most of it's in a museum. And they did not pay their electric bill, or they need to hire somebody to change a light bulb because no one turns a light on.
It's dimly lit.
I mean, consider people like working at their desk. I'm like, that's what the place looks like when you're closed.
Yeah.
Not when you're still working. It's like, turn a light on, man. There are some shots literally where the screen was just black. And you might have heard
a monster.
Yeah, well, you might have heard a little scuffle.
Yeah.
And there's not much monster. There's not much monster in it, and that's another thing too. That's the spot. I really want to like it, Harley, and I can't. I just don't like it. I don't hate it. Okay. Just don't like it as much.
But you can't enjoy it. Yeah, no. And I know we reviewed that, right, Tim?
I think so. I think so.
But I don't remember enough about that movie. I remember it's all right. No, it's
right.
Eh.
Well,
who's the lead star in it? Who's the lead?
Penelope Ann Miller's in it. Tom Sizemore is in it. Yeah. Linda Hunt. Clayton Rohner, who was just in the last show that we were all at, Cleveland. Okay. Yeah, at the Cleveland show. So it's a good cast. Like the cast, like the idea of it, like the story. I like a simple monster run amok.
Yeah,
movie.
All you need.
Yeah, but it's just
all you need.
I tell you what, somehow they fucked it up. So I don't know how to do it, but anyway.
Pretty good at that.
Well, speaking of that, Mr. Ben Holly, from 2005, popped in the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves in it.
No, I don't know if I've seen all of that.
It's bad. It's awful. I hate it. Yeah. I can't stand it, and it reminds me what I hate about films, especially from that era. Remember I told you right around 99 or something like that was right when I really started falling off with movies, and they started pissing me off. I got kind of like, not excited, but I was looking forward to seeing some things, and they were all disappointing me, and then I got used to them being disappointing, and here we are today. That's a whole podcast just
and
to bitch about it.
There's a lot of disappointing stuff out there.
Oh, God. Is there? Something that's not very disappointing, though, Mr. Ben Harley, was from 1954, watched The Mad Magician.
Okay.
With Vincent
54,
Price. Huh? Yes, Vincent Price in it. Watched part of it in 3D. Got a 3D Blu-ray of that sucker.
Oh, really?
3D works really great on the Blu. I think it's an indicator Blu-ray. I'd have to look again. I don't have it in front of me. But there is a Blu-ray of it out. And sometimes I'm suspect on how good 3D works on the Blu-rays. But this one was really good. Only watched a little bit of it because it kind of bothers my eyes a little bit to do it, but it worked really well. It did work really well. So we watched about a third of it, maybe in 3D, and then we popped on the 2D version of it. Either way, still a cool movie. And they have the same yo-yo guy from House of Wax. So we saw like the first half hour of things being thrown at the screen to remind you it was 3D, and then the movie took over. But good movie. Yeah. It's a good movie. It's a very good.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun one. A lot like House of Wax. Very similar plot of House of Wax. Let's see here. Moving on from 1996, Mr. Ben Harley popped in Scream. Watched it. Yeah.
Okay. How's it holding up?
Okay. I mean, I've seen it enough times where I think it was just just throwing a dart at the wall.
Okay.
Watching it. It's still a good movie. It's still fun. Once you've seen it a few times, it is what it is. Really enjoyed it when it came out. One of the best Wes Craven films. Out of the top 2 or 3 to me, and I'm not a Wes Craven fan. But I really enjoyed. But I really enjoyed it when it came out. I did.
Yeah, it didn't like blow my socks off like a lot of people did, but I did appreciate it quite a bit, and still kind of do. And I don't mind this. I think it's the second one that I kind of like a little bit too.
Yeah, I didn't like.
But then they all start to kind of get like kind of weird, like I just can't differentiate after a while.
Right.
And that's one of them. That Scream 1, 2, 3. I mean, I know 1 pretty decently, but the next ones I really can't. But I do remember kind of liking part 2 a little bit. So.
Right. I didn't like any of the sequels at all. I just liked the first one. I thought after the first one you started. It's sort of like Saw. Yeah. Like by Saw 5, the twists have become a corkscrew. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And Scream was kind of the same because it kept twisting the same resolve from the first film.
Exactly.
And I enjoy that up to a certain point. And Scream, unfortunately, I did not enjoy it whatsoever. I don't know exactly why. It is what it is.
No, but the first one it's a good movie, and it's a benchmark or a landmark film.
I think it kind of revived. Well, it did. It revived, especially the slasher. I don't like what it did to him. I mean, I don't like. I Know What You Did Last Summer and all those movies. I don't like the slasher movies.
What's her name though? What's Jennifer Love Hewitt?
Oh, you like the
Shade Love.
Like her, don't you?
Oh, yes, I do.
Very good.
You tell her if you see her too.
Yeah, I will. I promise. So
okay. All right.
if I see her, I'll say, Ben Harley. Well, of course I know Ben Harley. What lady doesn't?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, all right, moving on, Mr. Ben Harley.
Yes,
let's see here you'll like this. Just wanted to mention it. From 1982. Now, I don't watch a lot of TV shows, do I?
No.
But from 82, I feel safe. I feel safe in 1982. I feel all warm.
82 is a fine year.
It's like a nice blanket, isn't it? So I have been watching in order all of the episodes of Police Squad in color.
In color?
In color, yes.
In color.
Yes. Man, am I having fun watching that.
Yeah.
I mean, and I wonder how many people actually know it exists. It wasn't a very well... not a lot of people watched it, I don't think.
No.
I don't know why. You had to dig back and see what night it was on, what it was up against.
That's true, too, yeah.
And obviously it was after Airplane, the Zucker brothers, got a little heat, and they made that show. And it's like, okay, great. But, man, I mean, just even it's just funny. It's such a funny show, and I love it. And it was like a weekly little dose of Airplane humor.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess how long can you sustain that, though?
Yeah, that's true, too. That's true. But I love that stuff. I really do.
Yeah, I do, too. Yeah. Let's see here. From 1932.
Ooh, what?
Yes. Watch Murders in the Rue Morgue, starring Bela Lugosi. Yes.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool. I really like this movie. I do chuckle at the different insert shots of different simians, of different like apes and monkeys and different baboons. Yeah, there's some devil monkeys shot in there. And then you have the guys in ape costumes. And they're editing it all together with their different species, obviously. But people back then hadn't seen gorillas very much, like we talked about in the show. So they might have been fooled. The other thing, too, is I love the design, production design, like the German expressionism. This has so much of that. I swear the sets are built of like crooked sticks and mud. Everything is like all cockeyed, looking like it's like in Whoville or something. It's a black and white Whoville. But yeah, it was fun to go back and watch it. I do like that one. It's only an hour long, so that's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
that's a lot of fun.
That's a good one.
A couple more things. Just two more things real quick here. First up, watched a movie from 2013 that I thought I'd talk about for a second. Don't watch a lot of movies beyond the year 2000. I just said Constantine made it 25 minutes and it was over. It was out. This is interesting. This movie was called Horns? With starring Daniel Radcliffe, was known as Harry Potter.
Harry Potter,
yes. So the movie, the story evolves around Daniel Radcliffe, who is accused of killing his girlfriend, who he was madly in love with. And everyone knows he did it. They don't think he did it. He is accused. It's like OJ. Like, they know he did it, but he got away with it. That's what they think.
Wow,
so somehow he got away with it. That's what they think. Well, he starts growing horns out of his head. Yeah. And the horns cause people to be like super honest, like Wonder Woman's lasso around him. Very interesting, unique story, movie, whatever one you want to call it.
That sounds weird.
It's a little long. It's like 2 hours long. So it can get a little long in the tooth, but it's not that bad. It's interesting. It's an interesting film. So if you're in the mood for something a little different that'll kind of catch your attention, it's got elements of comedy, horror, romance, fantasy, everything in it. It's kind of a kitchen sink type of deal. You could do worse. It's not the best thing I've seen or anything, but as far as crap that's coming out,
it's okay.
It's okay, and it stays story driven. Okay. It doesn't try to sidetrack you into whatever, being preachy or feeling bad about somebody for no reason, or some of the traps that movies fall into. today. It just seems to just stick with the story and let it speak for itself.
Just let it go.
Yeah,
just
speak
let
for
it go.
itself. It was interesting. I'll put it that way. So, seen a lot worse. It was written by Stephen. It's from a book that was written by Stephen King's son.
Really?
Which is very interesting too. And some religious overtones. Actually, pretty heavy religious overtones in it. But again, just a story-driven way. So it's kind of cool. Not too bad. Now, last up, Mr. Ben Harley, something I think I hope you watched this. I think you might have watched it.
Okay.
I told you last week that I went on a Dark Side of the Ring freak out.
Total freak out, brother.
And this week they had or last week, I should say, by the time you hear this, they had the episode that I was waiting for. The Chris Benoit one was like, oh, Jesus, just
is that tough one, my friend?
End it. Yeah. This one was one I was really waiting for. So they had the David Schultz episode, the Dr. David Schultz episode, where he took out what's his name, the reporter guy,
Stossel.
John Stossel. I remember that. Was it 2020?
I do too, my friend.
I think it was 20. I remember watching that live. I'm sure you did too.
Yep.
About it, and that was Stossel was trying to get into the WWE, and he was trying to expose it for being fake. Now, these days, we know that those are loaded terms when it comes to professional wrestling.
Yes, sir.
Being a work, as you call it, an angle, being a part of a storyline so that your exhibition is going to end with a predetermined result.
Yes.
As far as wins and loss column and stuff like that. And professional wrestlers don't like that because there's a lot of them in the hospital, paralyzed, hurt, that will tell you that's not fake.
Yeah.
What just happened to me isn't fake. So I think what had happened basically was David Schultz was a pretty tough hombre. And he was old school, and he was taught to protect kayfabe, which meant keep the secrets up in the back.
Yes.
Keep all the secrets. And yes, Vince McMahon said, go out there and talk to Stossel, stay in character, don't ever get out of character, and basically give him the business.
Yeah, they said basically we got a guy out there dissing the business. Go out there and deal with him.
Right, exactly.
Really.
And David Schultz did what he thought he was supposed to do, and it ruined his career and his life. He basically smacked Stossel twice. Now, if you watch it, he pulled back pretty hard.
Yeah.
He stayed in character, and he also stayed in wrestling character where he hit him.
Yes.
And it hurt, but he could have took his head off.
Oh, yeah. He had that Stossel little skinny run.
Right. So did you watch this yet? Did you watch this episode? What did you I was fascinated by it. I loved it. What did you think?
Yeah, I was too. And it stuck with me for the whole next day. I mean, bad. This that incident to me is probably in my top 5 of incidents in wrestling history to me. Totally.
Agreed.
And I'm talking matches and everything.
I agree.
I mean,
absolutely. Yep.
It just, for me, especially back then, because I got teased a lot about it, wrestling, and it's fake and blah, blah, whatever. Okay. I've known it was somewhat fake for a long time, but I don't care. I enjoyed the show and I went with it and I enjoy it and I know what it is. Plus, like I said before, Tim, I'd like to see a guy get kicked in the mush. Well, not really kicked in the mush, but punched in the mush every so often. Right. So, I remember when this happened, watching it, and was so happy. And I'm sorry to say this, but I was so happy to see a guy get smacked the shit out of. I'm probably one of the most probably the most happiest I've ever been to see someone get the shit smacked out of them. And I'm sorry if that makes me sound like a bully or a jerk, or whatever. I don't care, but the guy deserved it. And I like what Schultz said in there too. Basically, he said he smacked him like he said his mom used to smack him when he would get out of line, basically, or whatever, something like that. Yeah. And when you're embarrassing someone or you're saying stuff that he was to him, it's to the point where you're making fun of me as a person too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And Stossel, what makes him such a great person? What makes a journalist such a great person when they're just as crooked as a big-time wrestling bad guy? I'm sorry, but they are.
Well, it did. I mean, to flip that coin, it would kind of be like David Schultz walking up to John Stossel now, and saying, "Do you think you're just spreading fear and terror over a virus, which would be unfair according to him at least, that would be like, that would be insulting to him. He's just reporting what he's supposed to be reporting and stuff. And so I did find a little unfair. But what I found a little interesting too was that incident for me, for me, I was a little more isolated at that point. I lived in Decatur, Illinois. It was a big 200,000 people, maybe 100,000 people. It's a big town. It's a little small city, put it that way, in the middle of nothing, in the middle of Illinois. And so we didn't have a whole lot of wrestling or anything coming through, a lot of stuff like that. Yeah. But it put more of a question mark in my mind, like how much of this stuff is real, and things. And I think it was a correct question mark because when he did that, he did protect kayfabe. Yeah. Because it did put a question mark like, okay, well, you got this wrestler to say it's all fake, but this wrestler just knocked the crap out of the reporter. You didn't expect that. And so maybe that guy who's saying it was fake is in a different kind of wrestling. I mean, there was all kinds of things. Sure. That were like, what if one company was real and one wasn't? Sure. You didn't know. And it put another question mark into it. And it also taught me a hell of a lot about professional wrestling and what you see in front of the camera. Yeah. And stuff. For sure. It was interesting to see how he got, they turned their back on him, which wrestling tends to do. It does tend to do that. And it's a shame because he was put up to it, and he went out there and he did his job and did what he did. And then, he was sent to Japan to let it cool down. And then over in Japan, they wanted to smack the shit out of a reporter over there. Right. Which he did. And he said, I'm not doing it unless you're going to, and I'll tell you, for a big, tough looking hillbilly or whatever you want to call Dr. Schultz or whatever, that's a pretty smart guy. And I tell you, out of all of these, I've enjoyed him more than any of the other wrestlers I have. Because I believed in that guy back then. Holy crap, man. Right. I mean, that guy that guy could turn you to stone just looking at you, man. I mean, that guy just, he was a tough looking guy. Right. And he was tough, period. But I like the fact that he took his lumps, man. He did. But he didn't back down to Vince McMahon. He didn't say, oh, well, no, then, okay, well, so I'll sign this. And it was my fault. No, you told me what to do. And you know what? Instead of saying, oh, okay, Vince, and I want to keep my job. No, baloney. Because, and I still think what they did to him is piss poor. Yeah, it ruined his career for the most part. No one wanted to book him after that. And if you did book him, you're going to get in trouble with Vince, the Prince. You know what I mean? And it's just sad. And then that guy, I loved it because he goes on to be a bounty hunter. Yeah. And can you imagine that guy busting in your door? Like, oh, no. You start tapping out right away.
Oh, man. He makes Dog the Bounty Hunter look real tame. Yeah. I mean, he looks like, and that guy, plus two, a lot of them people knew him. Like, oh, man, the people that got arrested by him knew him.
They were glad it was him. Like, I'm glad it's you. I won't get made fun of for you pulling me in. They'll be all right. It was David Schultz.
Or people Ben, I'll tell you where he's at. Of course, man. But I felt awful for him. And I love these shows, but I hate the fact that you see these guys here he is. He's he goes out in the back and there's a container in the back of his wherever he's living or whatever. That's where all his pictures of the wrestling pictures were and stuff. But all the people that turned their back on him, Hogan and Vince and all those guys, man, there's no reason but like David Schultz said there, they wanted to keep their job. Do you want to keep your job or not, man? And that's what it comes down to anymore around there. You'll either do what we say or you're done. Right. And not only will you be done here, you'll be done everywhere, pal. Right. And that's exactly what they could do to you. And it's scary, man. Right. It just scares the shit out of me that they could do that to a guy who I still idolize. I don't idolize David Schultz. I want to be David Schultz. I idolize the guy because he smacked the shit out of David Stossel, which I thought was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. I don't care what people think about that, but the guy deserved it. Smarmy little shit. And then the guy goes and, oh, my ears hurt and this, that, and the other thing. Guy got paid $200,000 for that. I go take that smack 3 days a week, man, for $200,000. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then also, he wasn't hurt. He wasn't hurt one bit now. After all that was said and done, he said, what did he say? Oh, my ears stopped ringing after I got paid. Or
yeah, he kind of admitted that it could have been.
He did.
Yeah, he was like,
he worked it too. He was a big work on his part. And then at the end, him to say to David Schultz, well, what would you say to David Schultz? Oh, F you, David Schultz. You wouldn't say that if he was standing there.
No.
He'd smack the shit out of you again.
Yeah.
And I would love to see it. I'd pay to see it. I'd pay $200,000.
Right. And I wonder how much of all that
wasn't all the work all around.
Yeah, you know, I mean, this part
because supposedly he went on to where I watched a thing with David Schultz about this before, where Stossel went on and did stuff afterwards. Mm-hmm. Went on, he didn't like beat feet and run to his car and run home. Mm-hmm. No, he continued and did other stuff afterwards,
like more interviews and stuff.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And like David Schultz said too, you knew everybody else was in on it because Fuji and all them. Like if you were to smack a guy and didn't see that coming, people would react like, "Whoa, wow!" and seen him running, they would have got out of the way. No. They just it all just unfolded like it would anywhere else, like in a wrestling match, you know. Like
Cornette to me has become the ambassador, of the lineage of wrestling. I mean, of all people, like when we were kids, would you ever have thought that Jim Cornette would be the guy who'd be sitting there going, "Oh, this is the keeper of the keys, the keeper of the knowledge. He's a guy that remembers the old school and the old days and understood it and can tell you. I mean, it's just amazing. But he brought up a great point. He goes, what the hell was Vince thinking was going to happen when he sent David Schultz out there to talk
What
to
did you think,
David Schultz is a nut job. You know, he's like, you sent that guy out there. He's mean. He's a mean guy. You know, it's like.
I sent Abdullah the Butcher out there and he forked him. I wonder why. Yeah, because you know what I'm saying? You send them. I mean, and he did. That's exactly what he did. He knew what was going to happen. And, you know, and it just makes me.
Well, here's the thing that's interesting too, because I think that the jobber guy that was on that episode 2020 that was showing everything. You were talking about him and everything. It's like man. I think that guy did more than David Schultz. I mean, that guy, damage, David Schultz, he should have been elevated to champion after that, and I think it would have monetarily worked. But you know what? The jobber guy had one hell of a good point. He said, it's really funny how you all hate me.
Yeah.
He said, and then not a few years later, the WWE, to save a buck, goes out and says the same thing that I said.
Yep.
I just wasn't allowed to say it right then.
Yep.
And he also brought up...
They went out and said we changed it to entertainment.
Yes.
That's
and there was also something he also said, which I'll say it because you're... on some level in the business, so I can say this because I do feel this way and it bothers me, but I feel this way about entertainment in general, is that he said, you know, you want me to take care of the business, and you have no interest in taking care of me. No, and he's right.
No, the business doesn't take care of them afterwards.
Right.
And that's a shame. And that's the whole thing too. I mean, and I never realized these things until I got a little older, my teens and stuff like that, you know, and I was like, wait, what? They're like, health insurance for wrestlers?
Yeah.
Like what? And I was like, wait, there's no. Now, is that why these guys are dying in backs of cars and in hotel rooms hooked on pain pills and stuff? Mm-hmm. That's exactly why. Yeah. Because it's like, you know, they don't, you know, why isn't there? Why? Well, first off, I guess it would probably be astronomical for it. But like, when you're making as much money as the WWE is making, and ain't nobody in the world going to tell me that they don't make $1 billion, like at a drop of a hat, or millions and millions and millions of dollars at a drop of a hat, you're wrong, because you see the people go at those shows and buying their hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of stuff. You know, after you paid $100 and some to get in the damn place, it's just it's beyond me. And then the fact that you shit on the people, and I mean it, they do, on the people that got you there,
right?
And the people that risk their life and limb every night, that you don't pay them, or you treat them like less than human, or you treat them like a commodity. I just it really sickens me. Well, it does. And can you imagine? Yeah. Brett Favre or the guy I love, Martin Brodeur, or someone, or a sports athlete like that being treated like that?
No.
Oh my God!
It used to be. No. It's been in the NFL. It used to be like that too. You know, and
that's why they have the players' associations now. You know, and
it's a good show. What's the next one? Is there another one? I haven't even checked this week to see if there's another episode.
You know what? I know one tape last night, but it was that New Jack one again.
Oh, is that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it might be Wednesday nights, maybe. That it's
okay.
Possible.
Well,
Possibly?
it's an interesting show. If you don't think you really have to be I'm not a wrestling fan anymore. I mean, I don't watch wrestling. I used to watch wrestling, and it's like comic books to me. I used to read comic books. I used to enjoy them. It's not because I'm older. It's just because I personally just don't watch anymore. I just the product doesn't excite me anymore.
Thrill ya?
No, it doesn't thrill me anymore. Comics don't thrill me anymore, and wrestling doesn't anymore. But it did before, and I love going back and seeing the documentaries and taking the veil off of the past and everything. And sometimes it hurts, like you said. Sometimes it hurts, and sometimes it's just fascinating. Yeah, it's always
this was a tough
fascinating.
one. Yeah, this was a tough one for me to watch. I mean, I enjoyed it thoroughly, but I wanted to get up the next day and punch John Stossel myself. Oh, I don't like that creepy little creep. I didn't like him back then. I didn't like. Oh,
he's a little snivelly. Little snivelly.
Oh,
yeah, I can see that.
too. It's funny when they're showing that guy, showing him the moves and stuff. Like, man, they were so ginger with that guy too. I'm like, good Lord, man. Like, oh, really? I'm like, I'd love to see him got in the ring with like the Berserker or someone.
The missing link.
Like King Kong Brody or someone, or David Schultz, and see how you feel after that wrestling match and tell me that you were a wrestler in high school. Okay, good for you, pal.
I would like to see him in a three-way, and this is impossible now, but let's put it just 20 years ago. But 20 years ago, I would have liked to have seen him in a three-way match with Harley Race and Ric Flair. Two of the dirtiest old sons of bitches that knew every little icy hot on the arm, piece of, what was it? What was Cornette saying that wasn't it David Schultz or didn't somebody like take a crap or something and then rubbed it on their arm? Oh
yeah, who was he talking about? It was this old guy that
there's
a guy that used to was a guy not managed, but was a trainer. He trained people, and then he
took a crap, but he
put it under his arm, and then get the guy the headlock, and the guy be screaming, "Oh God, no, let me out!" I'd have submitted too. I'd have submitted before I got to the ring. I quit.
Right,
never wrestled that. He's the baddest mamma jamma I know.
Yeah,
right I would never wrestle that guy.
Well, what did I think Hogan put like icy hot or something on his arms when he was wrestling Goldberg? If you watch Goldberg when he won the title from Hogan, he had his eyes, you couldn't see. And so he was kind of giving him a little bit of the business out there and stuff like that. So this stuff is all it's all interesting. It's very interesting to see,
fun.
And it's history of wrestling is such a wild and the fact that it was all kind of behind closed doors really just takes the gloves off of everything, and just interesting show though. Again, it's on it's on good. Vice, right? It's on Vice. It's called The Dark Side of the Ring. So
Dark Side of the Ring, and definitely worth a look. See, it is. I mean, it's really good. Even if you're not a big wrestling fan, or if you just like documentaries or human interest stories, I guess.
Right. No, I mean it's fascinating. It really is.
It is. Yeah. Oh, big time. And there's some characters, and I'll tell you what, I came out of there liking David Schultz even more. I do. I like that guy, and I don't care. They can kiss my butt. And what they did to him was dirty. Yeah, dirty.
Yeah,
I agree.
Than
Dick Slater.
Well, I agree, and I think that they've been treating wrestlers like that. I don't think they do that anymore. I really don't think that it's. Yeah. If you look at like when they have draws, or some of these other people that got hurt after wrestling got huge, they don't seem to be complaining too much about the business. Yeah. They seem to be taken care of. So good. I'm glad. Yeah. And it's kind of like football too, but I'm still sad that you see the old timers not being taken care of. Yeah. Well, let's get to our official little film for this week, Mr. Ben Harley.
All right. Let's see a good one, a fine one it is.
Yeah. From 1987, we have the film Dead of Winter. Oh. Let me get you out, movie guy here, and give you a short storyline synopsis.
Okie dokie.
For Dead of Winter. All right, here we go.
All right.
A fledgling actress is lured to a remote mansion for a screen test, soon discovering she is actually a prisoner in the middle of a blackmail plot. Some of these, they really sum things up well. Some of these like little storylines, and that's one. And some of them just do not do shit to help you out at all. But that's a pretty good one. That's a good way to lead into this here. Again, from 1987, this is actually not a remake, but it's based on the film My Name is Julia Ross from 1945. Like a film noir kind of creepy mystery type deal.
It's got that kind of feel still a little to it. They're trying.
Well, the script a little bit, but immediately I felt this was a very 1970s type of movie. Like the psychological horror, the small horror, This is gothic. This is very gothic.
Yeah.
And sort of. It's not like a family thing. Well, it is a little bit. Yeah, it's gothic. Remote mansions, snow everywhere, so it's going to get that. But it has a lot of that creep out, icky 1970s people being icky to each other and doing weird, macabre things and bad plots and minus a monster. And the monsters are the people in these movies.
Yeah,
There's no like black gloved, knifing wielding maniac, and there's no relic monster or vampire running around. It's just the horror of the circumstance.
Yes.
Is what's on display here. Starring Mary Steenburgen as, interestingly, her character, she actually plays 3 characters in the movie.
Is it 3?
It's 3. So if you think about it, there is the actress, the unfortunate sister, and then the mean sister.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
So she plays
the unfortunate sister doesn't last too long.
Right. So basically what we have is, Mary Steenburgen is an actress. Interestingly named Julie Rose. And the movie is based on the film Julia Ross. My Name is Julia Ross. So her name is Julie Rose. Okay. Yes, and she is a struggling actor, as most 99.9% are, just like wrestlers. Gets a gig. Creepy, like quiet gig. Yes, to go out to a remote mansion and basically screen test and shoot some footage and stuff. And
yes, sir.
Not a good idea. Bring somebody with you, would you?
Please. Don't ever go alone.
Right.
Especially someone you just met.
Right. Especially if it's Roddy McDowell being all like googly eyed at you. So Roddy McDowell is a butler to a Dr. Joseph Lewis.
I thought he was a cast director.
Yeah, well, he's a butler cast director assistant guy to old Dr. Joseph Lewis, who is the owner of the mansion, which Mary Steenburgen is being lured to with the promise of a lot of money to do some acting. Now they clearly immediately, like, basically it's not quite this, but when Mary Steenburgen meets Roddy McDowell, he might as well have went, well,
you're perfect.
Yes, exactly. So clearly he's up to no good. And so they want her to change her appearance. They kind of let her on the fact she's replacing another actress.
Yes,
in a film.
Who has gone mad, basically, lost their mind.
Yes. Roddy McDowell, again, playing Mr. Murray. He is the assistant to Dr. Joseph Lewis, who is played by, if you read his name, you would call him Jan Rubes, but that's not his name. His name is Jan Rubisch.
Yeah,
and he is the old. And actually, Klaus Kinski was offered the part. I like Jan Rubisch. Really? I think he's perfect in this movie. I think the casting is great in this movie, by the way. But it would have been fun to see Klaus
Kinski. He'd have been good.
And directed by Arthur Penn, who directed Bonnie and Clyde, Little Big Man, Miracle Worker, Alice's Restaurant, The Train. And here's one for you. I'm going to pull this out. Little swerve in our discussion here on Dead of Winter.
Okay.
Arthur Penn is uncredited, but he also at least shot some footage for the 1977 film Godzilla.
What?
The 1977 film Godzilla.
I don't remember that one.
Of course you don't. That's why I'm talking about it. So apparently the Italiano director, Luigi Cozzi, he stitched together his own version of Godzilla in 1977, colorized Godzilla, the original Godzilla, used the stuff with Raymond Burr, and then used footage from other films and made almost a 2-hour version of Godzilla.
Really?
Yes. And it was in Italian language and everything. He did it that way. And I think Toho called it an abomination.
Toho salty, man. Yeah, they'll chase you down.
Called it an abomination. Toho, who has put out some of the most curious films.
Abomination,
yes, of all time. Called this an abomination. Interesting. That makes me really, really want to see it. Luigi Cozy.
Me too. Yeah.
Just to give you a little.
Can you find it? I mean,
Luigi Cozy is the guy that did the Lou Ferrigno Sinbad and Hercules movies.
Oh, wow.
He was that Italian guy.
Man. I'm sure it was real put together Godzilla film. Yeah.
And then Arthur Penn somehow they must have lifted some footage of something that Arthur Penn directed. And so there's like 7 directors on the movie because of it. Incredible. And anyway, so there is a 1977 Godzilla. We'll be, I'm sure, forwarding this information to Mark Diamond soon and freaking him out.
Wait, what?
Causing him on a search too.
I was trying to think, 77 Godzilla? Did I miss that one?
Right. Now, Arthur Penn directed it. He replaced the writer, producer, Mark Sugar on it. I don't know why. I tried to look up why he replaced him. I don't know why. Maybe he was just in over his head.
Okay.
Maybe Mark Sugar was just in over his head. I really don't. And Mary Steenburgen had just won an Oscar, I think, a couple years before this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And she had an interesting career because she basically was obsessed over being a parent. If you watch like any discussions with her, she talks about being a parent about once every other sentence.
Oh, really?
And so I think what she did was she picked movies where she could still be a mother. And things like that. So her career was all over the place. She went to like big movies, these little weird like Hallmark type movies and stuff, and that was why she just did what she wanted to do, which is cool. That's fine. But she's great in this movie.
Oh, she's really good in this. Yeah,
she is a wonderful actress, and it is on display here. And it's not so subtle, the differences in the characters.
No. And I think Roddy McDowall's really good in this too. And he's not like, we've seen a lot of Roddy McDowall's very wordy movies where he's very lots and lots of lines. Doesn't have a lot in this, and I kind of appreciated that too. He just uses smarminess a little bit more, I guess, and which was good, I thought. And I was really creeped out by them too, kind of, the doctor and him. Like it just was a really kind of a creepy relationship type weird.
You're right. It is
thing.
Yes.
Which I mean, mad scientists and doctors are creepy anyhow.
Yes.
Let's just get it with that.
Their relationship was presented as creepy. It's not you inserting anything. You're just saying that it was just kind of it's a weird relationship with them, and you're not even talking about guy stuff. It just was weird. Yeah. It was beyond that. It was just like, God, there was like they all had something on each other.
Yes.
You know, in a way, and it was And the thing is with Roddy McDowall too, he's like a soda bottle shook up. He's just ready to pop his lid, and he never really does though, and I appreciate that. I think that's partially performance and partially directing.
And there's some really good parts with him that are very smarmy, man. Like she tries to escape the house at one point, and she kind of finds out what's happening. I think they're trying to burn her license or something, and she finds it.
Well, yeah, her personal belongings are trying to erase the fact that the actress was there because they're trying to basically transform her into the actress who has supposedly went mad. Yeah. But there's a lot of plots and twists and things to where this actress had a twin sister who looks alike. Yeah. And now they're trying to basically transform Mary Steenburgen into this other actress who may or may not even still be alive. Right. And trying to trick the twin into thinking that is her. So there's this thing twists and turns and twists and turns. And it's a psychological cat and mouse from the very beginning. Yeah. You're kind of following Mary Steenburgen's point of view, but you're just enough seeing what Roddy McDowall, what Jan Rubisch do to be creepy. And yes, she's talking to Jan and talking to Roddy McDowall, and she looks in the fireplace and sees like her driver's license burning. Yeah. Like they're trying to erase the fact that she was even there. Yes. And nobody really knows where she is. So, we've kind of seen this plot before. This is handled really well in a classy way, I think.
Because the way, and what I like about this too is, and these type of movies drive me nuts. Yeah. Because you kind of know what's going on, but she doesn't quite yet. Because they get snowed into the place. Mm-hmm. They tell her, oh, well, we're going to go in for your audition or go in to start filming But then the car won't start the next day, and it's snowing like crazy. So then that's when they change her appearance. Well, we'll just change your appearance here. We'll just take care of it here. And then things start to unfold. You're like, oh, God, no. You know what I mean? You're like, oh. It gives me anxiety, which is good. That's what it's trying to do. And most of these movies do a good job at it because I'm already anxious.
Right.
And I think that's what you really want in a film like this. You know, you want some more anxiety than straight up blood and guts.
Sure.
Really,
Angie calls it sneaking around. She hates the sneaking around. I mean, this is like a sneaking around type movie. You know, it's a bit of it's like a cross between Misery and Curtains. And I don't know how many people remember Curtains, but Curtains has some actresses going out into a remote spot and auditioning for a role remotely there in this remote spot, and there's a killer kind of going through. And then, of course, we all remember Misery, where James Caan is trapped by his.
Hard to forget that one.
But there's elements, right? Well, there's elements of both of those films.
Yes, yeah.
You know, that are in here, including the snow and everything.
And the snow's kind of creepy, too, because you really don't know how far out they really are.
Mm-hmm.
Once she starts to figure out things out, too, she tries to escape, and then Roddy McDowell kind of captures her.
Right.
He doesn't really catch her. She kind of falls in the snow, and he's there. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, the doctor wants to see you, whatever. Right. And at that point, you're like, oh, boy, the jig's up. Everything's over. You know, oh, God. You know, and actually, from that point on, it changes a little bit. It's still creepy, but it's not like I wasn't as anxious that I'm like, well, the jig's up now. You know? But, like, I still think it carried on with still the same kind of intensity. I don't think there's really too many lulls in the movie.
No,
it's super exciting. But it had a good pace to it the whole time.
A common pace. It keeps moving by the same thing. And there is a little bit of camp to it. I think Jan Rubisch is the guy at the wheelchair, the doctor. He's got a lot of camp, man. Right down to the very last couple of shots, he does a couple things where it's like, whoa, wait a minute. You're not Jason Voorhees here. Hang on a second, you know. But it's just got enough of everything a little bit. And the one thing, too, is that now Mary Steenburgen certainly does not lay back and let this happen. She starts using, and what's interesting is that she really starts using her acting talents to really foil the villains in this movie, and does a pretty damn good job of it, too. And I think that was a nice twist. You can see that coming, but even though when it does happen, it's still pretty fulfilling. When you see this stuff happen and everything.
What we kind of forget to talk about, too, is she has a boyfriend and a brother that live with her. They all live together. Now, I'm going to have to say, I started to like the boyfriend a little bit later on in the film, but at the beginning, he's quite the turd. And then, I don't know if he's like a struggling photographer or something, but she gets the gig and she's telling him about it. And he keeps snapping pictures of her while she's trying to tell him, well, I'm leaving, and he's snapping pictures. And he literally gets up and goes out the window and he's snapping pictures. It's just one of the weirdest things. I was like, man, who's creepier, him or Roddy McDowell? I'm going with the boyfriend right now, man. Golly, man, this is creepy. At first I was like, this guy, but that he ends up him and the brother kind of help him come to the rescue there.
There is a bit of a subplot where Mary Steenburgen, at one point in the film, finally finds her way to a working phone. That's the other thing. There's no working phones, of course, at the mansion that she's at. And she does find her way to a working phone.
The lines must be
there. Sure. Because that happens all of us during snowstorms.
Take you to town tomorrow to use one.
Right. Yeah. So she finally finds a working phone inside the mansion, the house. And she does get to her boyfriend, or her husband, actually. She calls her husband and lets him know she's in trouble, and gives him a couple of clues as to where she is, but she doesn't quite know. Now, that part is a convenient stick in the mud there, because it wasn't like they knocked her out and took her to the mansion.
No, she drove there.
Well, he didn't. Roddy McDowell drive her there. I think he drove her there, so she was awake and knew where she was going, but she just gave him clues. Like she said that, I don't know where I am, but we stopped at a gas station. They gave me a goldfish and this and that. And he's like, what?
Goldfish, yeah.
And so she basically babbles at him. And so as a little subplot, there's another mystery where the husband and the brother are trying to piece together the information that she could get to him before she had to hang up.
Yeah.
And trying to go find her. And I kind of wish they would have leaned on that part of the story more.
Sure.
I like that technique. I like when someone's looking for someone and getting clues and doing the old Scooby-Doo thing. I really do enjoy that. And they do it. I just wish it was like maybe 10% more, just a little bit more.
Just a little bit, please.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't bad because I started to enjoy not that the husband and brother or whatever were that big of characters, but I started to enjoy that a little bit more because at first them two were just goofballs. I'm like, oh, yeah, no wonder they're not in this movie very long. But then they came back.
Right. Well, it helped to cut the tension a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you got to have a little bit of that cut to exhale a little bit. And to have those characters, after her, it kind of gives you some hope as you're watching the movie. Yeah. And it also gives you something else to look at besides the inside of that drab old mansion and those old clucks that are
old bats.
Going around. But this is a good, fun. I mean, really, honestly, to watch this in the dead of winter with snow on the ground would be perfect.
Yeah,
it's a good old, just creaky, just psychological horror thriller. There's no monsters in it. There's no unstoppable this or that, but. There's a lot of horrific images and a lot of things happening in this, which are just dark and creepy enough. It's as much of a horror film as a little girl lived down the lane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's not like the characters are being so over the top, scary and stuff, which I liked too. Which also lent to some of the creepiness because there's a scene too, Tim, where they're supposedly letting her do like a test. Read or something, and they're videotaping her. And these are supposed to be two guys that are in the industry, and they're fumbling all over the place. And they're like, she goes, "Did you say action?" He's, "Oh yeah, action." And then she's like, "Are you going to sit there while I do this?" "Oh no!" And he moves and he about knocks over the light, and it's really clumsy, but it's like, man, it was kind of cool because that something's afoot, but she doesn't quite yet, and so it should have been a very glaring to her that they weren't into this.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
But, it is what it is.
Well, you're an actor. When you need money, you need money. You're going to do something.
Need money,
yeah.
Yeah, you don't care. Just hold the camera steady.
Sure. Right. I'm going to give it a great bape up, though.
Or not.
Yeah, right. I'm going to give it a great bape up, though. I remember watching this movie right when it came out, like on video or maybe on Cinemax or Showtime or something like that, or HBO, and always enjoyed it. Just it's a dark, spooky kind of movie. It is icky, and it's believable, but it's unbelievable at the same time. But it could happen. It is believable because this could happen. There's nothing in the film that could not happen that you couldn't see happening, and you couldn't see people almost getting away with stuff like this. Right. So that makes it a little bit creepier.
And Tim, I'm going to recommend don't ever go. Well, not that we have to anymore, but don't ever go use a payphone in the middle of nowhere in a parking lot, outside of a parking lot, in the middle of nowhere in a snowstorm. All right, don't do it. Somebody's going to creep up into your car and get you.
Right.
Don't do it.
I'm gonna. What are you gonna do, Mr. I got a great bape up.
I'm gonna give it a great bape up too.
Okay.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Not a bad movie. I like to.
Could have been a little shorter, but
maybe 10 minutes or something like that. And it's not, and not to say it's horribly long. And it's we do try to stick with
an hour and 40, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So I mean, and it's not super horror. And we really do try to stay. I mean, we kind of debate this when we're off air, like, what are we going to review, not review? And this is probably the furthest down the path from horror we'd probably want to get to. But it's dark and spooky enough that I know horror fans would enjoy this and find a lot to enjoy here and love. And if for nothing else, Roddy McDowall, because I think we all love Roddy McDowall.
And he's good and awkward in this.
Yeah, he is. Like, he's always good. What's kind of funny, though, is that Mary Steenburgen and him were like really close friends. And apparently they had a hard time not laughing. So they were almost getting in trouble while they were doing these awful scenes together because they thought it was funny. that they were saying these awful things and doing this stuff to each other. So it's just something something that kind of takes you out of it for me. You're like, wait a minute, I'm watching this movie getting all tense, and I know when they hit cut, they start laughing at each other.
Yeah, right.
So, but, little fun stuff, Mr. Ben Harley.
A good old style.
Pull that kayfabe back right off of the movie industry, right?
There you do.
All right, Mr. Ben Harley. Well, I don't know what we're going to do next week. But we're going to have something nice for all the deep thinkers listen to us. We're going to have something real nice.
Deep thinkers.
Yeah, all 106% of you deep thinkers in our listening audience will have something good for you. So until next week, Mr. Ben Harley and all you deep thinkers, let's keep it safe and friendly out there and stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Tim O and Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.